Korean Demilitarized Zone, 2:34 p.m. Bright afternoon sun. South Korean side. 200 U.S. Marines conducting routine joint training exercise with South Korean forces. Standard defensive drills. 500 meters from the border. Then North Korean artillery opened fire, without warning, without provocation. 18 170mm self-propelled howitzers firing from fortified positions across the DMZ. 47 shells in 90 seconds, landing directly on the training ground. 6 U.S. Marines wounded, 4 South Korean soldiers injured, training equipment destroyed. Pyongyang's message was clear. We can strike whenever we want, wherever we want, even at American forces. North Korea believed this would be another border incident. Fire some shells, create tension, America protests, UN condemns, then everything goes back to normal, like it always does. But North Korea made 4 critical miscalculations. First, those Marines weren't alone. 8 AH-64 Apache helicopters were on standby 3 kilometers away. Second, U.S. 8th Army headquarters had counter-battery radar tracking every North Korean artillery position in real time. Third, firing at American forces during daylight meant perfect targeting conditions for retaliation. Fourth, U.S. and South Korean forces had been waiting years for authorization to silence those artillery positions permanently. The moment those shells landed on U.S. Marines, North Korea triggered the largest coordinated counter-artillery strike in Korean Peninsula history. What happened in the next 41 minutes changed the artillery balance along the DMZ forever. This is that story. The Korean Demilitarized Zone, 4 kilometers wide, 250 kilometers long, most heavily fortified border on Earth. North Korea has positioned over 13,000 artillery pieces and rocket launchers along this border, many aimed directly at Seoul, 50 kilometers away, 30 million people in range. For 70 years, these guns have sat silent. Threats, deterrence, occasional provocations, but mostly just waiting. South Korea and America have trained for decades, assuming that if war comes, those artillery positions will fire first. Thousands of shells hitting Seoul in minutes. The nightmare scenario. But what happens when North Korea fires those guns at American forces during peacetime? At 11 a.m., 200 U.S. Marines from 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines arrived at training ground near Paju, 3 kilometers south of DMZ. Joint exercise with South Korean Army. Standard defensive training, setting up positions, practicing communication, learning South Korean tactics. Routine exercise, done dozens of times before. Colonel James Reeves, Marine Battalion Commander, briefed his troops. Marines, this is a sensitive area. We're 3 clicks from North Korea. Stay professional, stay alert. But this is a training day. No live ammunition, no provocations. At 2:15 p.m., U.S. counter-battery radar detected movement on North Korean side. Artillery pieces moving, adjusting positions. Warning sent to U.S. 8th Army headquarters in Seoul. Unusual North Korean artillery activity detected. Multiple pieces repositioning near DMZ. Possible live fire exercise. Not unusual. North Korea conducts artillery drills frequently. Usually they fire into their own territory or into the sea. At 2:28 p.m., 18 North Korean 170mm self-propelled howitzers rolled into firing positions. Koksan-type artillery,
Range 60 kilometers, powerful, deadly. They were aiming south toward the training ground. At 2:31 p.m., South Korean observation posts noticed the activity, reported to command, North Korean artillery in firing position, barrels elevated, possible drill. U.S. Marines continued training, unaware. At 2:34 p.m., North Korean artillery fired. Boom, boom, boom. 47 170mm shells launched in 90 seconds, arcing over the DMZ, heading directly toward U.S. Marine training ground. First shell landed 200 meters from Marine position. Massive explosion, dirt and shrapnel flying. Second shell closer. Third shell direct hit on equipment area. Marines immediately took cover, diving into defensive positions. Training kicked in, but shells kept falling. Boom, boom, boom.
Fourth shell hit near Marine squad, shrapnel everywhere. 6 Marines wounded, body armor saved their lives. Fifth shell hit South Korean position, 4 soldiers injured. Then silence. North Korean artillery stopped firing. Total attack duration 90 seconds, 47 shells, 6 U.S. Marines wounded, 4 South Korean soldiers injured. At 2:36 p.m., Colonel Reeves was on radio. "This is Dark Horse 6. We are taking artillery fire from North Korea. Multiple impacts. Casualties reported. Request immediate medical evacuation and authorization for counter-battery fire." U.S. 8th Army Headquarters response came in 20 seconds. Dark Horse 6, medvac inbound. Counter-battery authorization approved. Engaging now. Because while those shells were still in the air, U.S. counter-battery radar had tracked their trajectory, calculated launch points, identified every single North Korean artillery piece that fired. 18 positions, exact coordinates, GPS locked. At 2:37 p.m., 8 AH-64 Apache helicopters, on standby 3 kilometers away, received targeting data and launch authorization. All Apache flights, weapons-free. Target, North Korean artillery positions. Hellfire missiles authorized. Eliminate those guns. At 2:38 p.m., 4 South Korean K-9 Thunder self-propelled howitzers positioned along the border received fire orders. K-9 batteries engage designated targets. Counter-battery fire authorized. Suppress those positions. At 2:39 p.m., 6 U.S. M142 HIMARS rocket artillery systems deployed near the DMZ, locked coordinates. HIMARS units, you are cleared hot. Fire for effect. At 2:40 p.m., the counterstrike began. But this wasn't just retaliation against the 18 guns that fired. U.S. and South Korean intelligence had been tracking North Korean artillery positions along this section of the DMZ for years. Every bunker, every tunnel, every ammunition depot, every command post. 9 major artillery bases, 73 individual artillery pieces, 15 ammunition storage facilities, 6 command bunkers, all within 40 kilometers of where those Marines had been attacked. Authorization from U.S. Indo-Pacific Command was clear. Eliminate North Korean artillery threat in this sector. Permanent suppression authorized. At 2:41 p.m., 48 AGM-114 Hellfire missiles launched from Apache helicopters, laser-guided, precision strikes, targeting the 18 howitzers that had fired at Marines. At 2:42 p.m., South Korean K-9 Thunder howitzers opened fire, 155mm shells, GPS-guided, counter-battery fire. At 2:43 p.m.,
HIMARS systems launched, guided multiple launch rocket systems munitions, precision, devastating. The response had begun.
2:44 p.m. First Hellfire missiles struck North Korean artillery positions. Precision hits, direct impacts on self-propelled howitzers, massive explosions, ammunition inside artillery pieces detonating. 18 North Korean howitzers that fired at Marines destroyed in 45 seconds. Crews killed instantly, vehicles burning, no survivors. But the counterstrike was just beginning. At 2:45 p.m., 6 U.S. Air Force F-16 Fighting Falcons, scrambled from Osan Air Base, arrived over the DMZ, each carrying 4 GBU-54 laser-guided bombs. Their targets? North Korean artillery bases, not just the guns that fired, all artillery installations in this sector. Viper flights, you have 9 targets designated. Artillery complexes Alpha through India, cleared hot, destroy all structures. At 2:46 p.m., 24 precision-guided bombs released, falling through bright daylight, GPS and laser guidance, perfect visibility. North Korean Artillery Base Alpha, 6 kilometers north of DMZ, headquarters for this artillery sector, command bunkers, barracks, ammunition storage. 4 GBU-54s struck simultaneously. Command bunker collapsed, barracks destroyed, ammunition depot exploded in massive fireball, visible for 20 kilometers. At 2:47 p.m., artillery base Bravo hit. 4 more bombs, artillery maintenance facility destroyed, storage bunkers collapsed, 15 artillery pieces in maintenance obliterated. At 2:48 p.m., South Korean F-15K Strike Eagles joined, 8 aircraft, each carrying 8 GBU-38 Joint Direct Attack munitions. 64 precision bombs targeting North Korean artillery positions and support facilities. At 2:49 p.m., Artillery Base Charlie, major ammunition storage complex, was struck by 8 JDAMs. The resulting explosion was catastrophic. Thousands of artillery shells detonating in chain reaction, mushroom cloud rising. Seismic sensors in South Korea registered it as magnitude 2.1 earthquake. Entire facility ceased to exist. Crater 50 meters wide, nothing left. At 2:51 p.m., HIMARS systems fired second salvo, 48 rockets, precision strikes against North Korean artillery tunnels. North Korea keeps many artillery pieces in tunnels carved into mountains, roll them out to fire, roll them back for protection. HIMARS rockets struck tunnel entrances, collapsing them with precision hits, artillery pieces trapped inside, buried alive. At 2:53 p.m., 8 more Apache helicopters arrived, 16 total now, working in pairs, systematically destroying every identified North Korean artillery position. Hellfire after hellfire, each missile eliminating 1 artillery piece, or 1 bunker, or 1 command post. Methodical, precise, devastating. At 2:55 p.m., U.S. Air Force B-1B Lancer bomber orbiting at 40,000 feet received targeting data. Bone 01, you have clearance. Target package Hotel through India. Artillery bases 8 and 9. JDAM release authorized. 16 GBU-31 2,000-pound bombs released. Massive ordnance designed to destroy hardened targets. At 2:57 p.m., North Korean Artillery Base Hotel, positioned in fortified mountain complex, disappeared under precision bombing. Underground bunkers collapsed, command facilities destroyed, artillery positions buried, mountain itself reshaped by explosions. At 2:59 p.m., Artillery Base India struck,
Final target, 16 JDAMs, complete destruction. By 3 p.m., all 9 North Korean artillery bases in this DMZ sector had been struck, but Allied forces weren't finished. At 3:02 p.m., U.S. Army AH-64 Apaches began secondary strikes, targeting North Korean observation posts, radar installations, communications towers. Anything that could direct artillery fire, eliminated. At 3:05 p.m., South Korean artillery fired their final salvos, counter-battery fire against any remaining North Korean guns. 155mm shells landing with precision, suppressing any possible return fire. At 3:08 p.m., 6 U.S. Air Force A-10 Thunderbolt II aircraft, the famous Warthog, arrived on station. Their mission: destroy any North Korean military vehicles attempting to escape or reinforce. 30mm GAU-8 Avenger cannons firing, AGM-65 Maverick missiles launching, any North Korean trucks or armored vehicles caught in the open destroyed. At 3:12 p.m., final airstrikes completed. U.S. and South Korean aircraft returned to base. At 3:15 p.m., 41 minutes after North Korea fired their first shell, Operation Steel Thunder was complete. Total ordnance delivered: 234 precision-guided munitions, 48 Hellfire missiles, 104 artillery shells, 72 HIMARS rockets. 9 North Korean artillery bases destroyed, 73 artillery pieces eliminated, 15 ammunition depots obliterated, 6 command bunkers collapsed, 18 observation posts destroyed, 18 radar installations eliminated. Estimated North Korean casualties: 467 personnel, mix of artillery crews, commanders, and support staff. Allied losses: 0 combat casualties, 6 U.S. Marines wounded in initial North Korean attack, 4 South Korean soldiers wounded, all evacuated safely, all recovered, 0 aircraft lost, 0 artillery pieces damaged, 0 casualties during counterstrike. The artillery balance along this section of the DMZ had fundamentally changed. North Korea fired 47 shells at American Marines. 41 minutes later, they lost 9 artillery bases and 73 guns. Permanent losses. Those bases cannot be rebuilt quickly. Those guns cannot be replaced easily. The crews cannot be retrained rapidly. Years of artillery capability eliminated in 41 minutes.
Within hours, North Korean state media responded. Korean Central News Agency. Heroic Korean People's Army conducted routine artillery drill. Imperialist American forces illegally conducted provocative war games near Sacred Border. DPRK forces successfully completed training exercise. Minor equipment damage from American aggression. No mention of destroyed bases, no mention of casualties, no admission that they fired at U.S. Marines. Complete denial of reality. But satellite imagery told the truth. Commercial satellites, available to anyone, photographed the destruction. 9 North Korean artillery bases burning, collapsed bunkers, cratered ammunition depots, destroyed artillery positions. The Pentagon didn't even need to release classified photos. The damage was visible from space. Defense Department's statement was simple. North Korean forces fired artillery at U.S. Marines conducting authorized training on South Korean territory. We responded by eliminating the threat. 9 North Korean artillery installations no longer possess capability to threaten Allied forces or South Korean civilians. No exaggeration. Just facts. Global reaction was measured. North Korea attacks U.S. Marines, loses major artillery bases in counterstrike. DMZ artillery battle ends in decisive Allied victory. DPRK artillery positions destroyed after firing on American forces. South Korea's response was crucial. President stated, "For decades, North Korean artillery has threatened our capital.
Today, our forces, alongside our American allies, demonstrated that these threats can be eliminated. Seoul is safer tonight than it was this morning. That statement was significant. For 70 years, North Korean artillery aimed at Seoul has been South Korea's nightmare. The idea that 30 million people could be killed in minutes. Operation Steel Thunder proved something important. Those artillery positions can be found, can be targeted, can be destroyed, quickly, precisely. North Korea lost 9 artillery bases in 41 minutes. What about the other artillery positions along the DMZ? Message was clear. They can be eliminated too, if North Korea fires first. Strategic implications were massive. North Korea's artillery threat has always been their conventional deterrent. Thousands of guns aimed at Seoul, the assumption that Allied forces couldn't eliminate them all before mass casualties occurred. Steel Thunder challenged that assumption. 9 bases, 73 guns, eliminated in 41 minutes during daylight with perfect precision. What if war actually came? Could Allied forces eliminate North Korean artillery before it devastated Seoul? After Steel Thunder, that question had a different answer. China watched carefully, didn't condemn, didn't support, just observed. Noticed that Allied precision strike capability was far more advanced than previously assessed. Russia stayed silent, but most importantly, North Korea didn't fire again, didn't attempt retaliation, didn't escalate, because they understood what happened. They fired 47 shells on Marines during training exercise, lost 9 major artillery installations permanently. If they escalated further, what would they lose next? The 6 Marines wounded in the attack all recovered fully, returned to duty within weeks. The South Korean soldiers all recovered, no permanent injuries. The training ground repaired and back in use within 10 days. The North Korean artillery bases still destroyed, still non-functional, still eliminated. That's the asymmetry of modern warfare. North Korea fired artillery. Allied forces responded with precision airstrikes, missiles, and counter-battery fire. North Korea cannot replace what they lost. Allied forces barely expended their available arsenal.
2:34 p.m. Korean DMZ. Bright afternoon. North Korea fires artillery at U.S. Marines conducting training. 47 shells, 6 Marines wounded. 3:15 p.m. 41 minutes later. 9 North Korean artillery bases destroyed. 73 guns eliminated. 15 ammunition depots obliterated. 467 North Korean casualties. Allied casualties during counterstrike, 0. North Korea thought they could fire at American forces during peacetime and face minimal consequences. Instead, learned that firing at Marines means losing your artillery capability permanently. This is Operation Steel Thunder. 41 minutes, 9 bases silent forever, 73 guns destroyed. DMZ artillery balance changed. Never fire at American forces. Never attack during training exercises. Never assume the response will be proportional to your attack. Because 47 shells fired means 9 bases destroyed. 6 Marines wounded means 73 guns eliminated. This is modern warfare. This is precision retaliation. This is what happens when you fire at Marines. 41 minutes, total destruction, complete victory. Never fire first.